Good one overall, that with the two pole position and the podium today, that it's for the morale of the team, for the motivation, and so it's always important. We have to take the positive of the weekend, but I think on one lap the pace was there, and now we have to improve a little bit on the long stint, because at the beginning of the stint was a bit more difficult, even if the pace was there at the end and we are not far away to fight for the fastest lap. But okay, let's take it like this, and to be now focused on Miami, we have to learn from the race and to do a step.
Yeah, okay, safety car of course worked in your favour, you were back into P2, but the ease at which Red Bull can overtake Charles, is there anything you can do about this?
Remove the wing, but it's not an option.
Yeah.
No, it's the top speed. The difference of the pist was impressive. And I think at least in Baku it's quite difficult to fight, but it won't be always like Baku. It means that first we have to understand exactly the story and to do a step on this one, and it won't be always like Baku.
Okay, and just finally, why do you think Carlos has struggled this weekend?
Well, a little bit with the position on track. I think he lost the position with Fernando at the restart, and this was because then you are not in the same position on track. And at the end of the race, the pace was okay, but I think he missed before at this stage.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you. See you in Miami.
Yeah, okay, so better from Ferrari, certainly for reliability for Charles. He'll be happy just to finish the race.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Look, last year was very different here for them. Obviously, he had a very big lead, and then, you know, everything went pear-shaped for him. So for him to have finished on the podium here is already a good thing. But, you know, I have to say the Ferrari really have stepped it up this weekend, because if you look at the battle between Lewis and Sainz in that race, you know, Lewis was on it this weekend. He had some really quick lap times, but even in the DRS, he couldn't get past Sainz, which meant that that Mercedes didn't have enough in it to take on the Ferraris, which is, you know, slightly different to what we've seen this season so far.
Yeah, and they were almost evenly matched with the Red Bulls when they both didn't have their DRSs open in the straights, just when the DRS was open.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I think that there's definitely some progress. What's interesting for me is it seems like it's not all aero now with these new regulations. There's quite a lot in setup. There's a lot in actually making the thing ride properly and all the rest of it, and saving the tyres. But the Mercedes just doesn't have straight line speed, which is mystifying, really. It looks like it should be a slippery car, but it's just not there.
There's a fantastic article by Mark Hughes, actually, that we were both reading, which was talking about just why they're so good, the Red Bulls, and just the fact that they just have a very stable aero balance across all the speed range.
They do. So they've obviously done something with their suspension that makes it, you know, anti-squat and exactly, and it's basically to demystify that a little bit. When we talk about squats, it's when you accelerate, the rear of the car basically squats down, whereas when you go into the corner, the front dives in. So it's anti-squat, anti-dive, and that can have some negative effects. If you have too much anti-dive, then you start to kind of lose the feeling on the brake pedal, and it can also create some lockups. And to talk about the anti-squat, on the negative side, you can have a little bit less traction. However, in this car that clearly needs a lot of, you know, aero balance, it's just a lot more stable throughout the corner, because you're not having that as much of a roll phase. There's not as much of a transfer of weight from the back to the front to the back. So that's clearly working for Red Bull, and I think that that's something that a lot of the teams are looking at. I think, you know, Aston Martin have, you know, looked at that quite deeply and clearly made some changes to their cars. But yeah, you know, Red Bull really have got it right.
Yeah, okay, great stuff. Let's hear from Charles Leclerc, finishing in third. Here he is now.
Charles, you knew it was going to be tough today, but you did everything you could to maximise the points. Would that be fair? Is that how you feel?